We're talking about emotions in the flow state of awakening. This is really part two of a series, a four-part series that I'm doing on navigating new territory post-awakening. And I recently did a video on the mental realm of navigation, of how to navigate that territory. And now I'm covering the emotional state of awakening when we're in the flow state. And I just want to do a quick overview of really what awakening is about. First of all, just a reminder here, awakening is a process. It's not an event. It's usually something, some kind of opening, some kind of glimpse we're given. We experience our pure aware being without any conditioning, no concepts. It's like everything has dropped. That is awakening. It's really an undoing, not an adding to the body mind. So I just want to bring that up. It's often very gradual. There's a few people, it's fairly rare, that have a sudden event and that glimpse becomes an ongoing state of abidance. But actually I think that the gentler, the easier way, if you will, of awakening is for it to be gradual. And awakening also means having awareness that expands beyond the limitations of the ego structure. So awareness wakes up to itself. Up until now, up until awakening, it's been asleep and it has over-identified with the body mind. So the awakening is the unwinding of that identification from the body mind. We know we have a body, it's our vehicle, and a mind with thoughts, but we're not identified with it the way we were before we awakened. Now, I'm talking about this topic because it's so important. And when we awaken, it affects us mentally, emotionally, physically, I'll get into in another video, and spiritually. And the emotional part of it can be quite difficult for many people. We have this belief, I think it's almost like a fantasy, and I had it too for many years, that once I awakened, I didn't know what was awakening, by the way, at the time. I used to think that the body mind would evolve and become enlightened, and then I found out that wasn't correct at all. But as we awaken, the emotional realm can be challenging because in our society, and this is just my belief, having been in the realm of psychology and spirituality for 35 plus years now, and then some, we are very advanced from a technical standpoint. Our technology is very advanced. Our intellect is quite advanced here in the West. But emotionally, we are not well developed. And I know I'm going to probably get some pushback on this, and that's okay. But my experience is that the conflict that we encounter, both individually and collectively, comes from a lack of emotional depth and understanding. And there's no one to blame. I know we're not here to blame our parents or society or the community or anything like that. It's just on this planet, we have not been taught how to handle challenging emotions. And since emotions are so powerful, I mean, energetically speaking, they can be very dense, very heavy at times, or they can be buoyant, but they're an energetic experience. And those emotions that we do not know how to process get trapped in the body. And so I'm talking about emotions in the flow state of awakening because I just want to let you know that the awakening process, these emotions that have not been processed and integrated into your experience are going to come up. There's no way around it because the awakening is almost like a purging of all that is not authentically you and me. All that is not of our pure being, of pure awareness, of the God self, whatever you want to call it, all of that comes up so you can see it clearly for what it is, not identify with it, but not resist it. So emotions are going to come up and they can be very challenging at times, but we're going to learn how to navigate these waves, these emotional waves, and often in dream times. And I do a lot of work with nighttime dreams. Your emotions show up in dream time as water. So you want to look at the water. You want to look at the size of the body of water. Is it a small puddle or is it the ocean? Is it clear and you can see down to the bottom of a lake? Or is it a murky and churned up pond? I mean, what is showing up in dream time? And I'm going to do a whole series on awakening dreams, what they look like during the awakening process. But your emotional watery realm shows up in dream time. So if you're not in touch with your feelings, it's been something that's been hard for you to do, or you get in touch with your feelings, but you're not comfortable in how to express them, you can work with your dreams, your nighttime dreams, to help you process that. It's the same thing happening in so-called waking life. I mean, this is a dream also. It's just that it's the elongated dream, so it feels very, very real. But nonetheless, until we wake up from over-identifying with the body-mind, we are asleep to the pure being that we are, right? And so what we want to do is we want to make space, make room, invite emotions to arise. Now, once they're in your field of awareness, which means once you're feeling emotion, you're feeling anger, or you're feeling pain, or you're feeling some kind of depression, or you're feeling anxiety, once those have shown up and you're feeling them, then you only have a few options. You can resist those feelings by numbing out, getting busy, however you block what you don't want to feel. Or you can open to them and you can allow them to show up and to communicate to you, to help you understand what's going on. But the key is we don't identify with those feelings. So see, we're reframing anger, we're reframing pain, we're reframing depression, we're reframing anxiety. What we're saying is, I feel anger. I'm really ticked off about something or what someone did or said or didn't do. I'm feeling that, but we don't say I'm anger. We might say I'm angry, but we don't say I'm anger, I'm depression, I'm anxiety. We just want to understand the relationship here. As having this human experience, we are going to have a full range of human emotions. And we really need to honor that, because you wouldn't have chosen to have this finite temporary experience in this form if on some level you didn't want to experience the whole gambit of what it means to be human. But in our society, we want to just carve out certain feelings. We want just the positive ones. Or maybe we're stuck in anger. We just want to stay there. But it doesn't matter which side of the coin of emotion that you're on, whether it's anger or it's happiness. We don't want to identify, and we need to keep reframing that when we're feeling something, it's a feeling, it's not who we are. And this sounds really easy, but when we're in the anger, or we're stuck in the depression, it could be hard to reframe. So we want to make that clear right up front. I haven't ever really shared this with anyone, actually, but when I was growing up, and maybe you can relate to this, I always felt that something was watching me, not from a paranoia standpoint or some anthropomorphic God in the sky judging me. It wasn't like that. I always felt there was something bigger than all of this that was watching all of this go through the motions of this life. And I used to talk that way. Like, I would talk to this character that I've been playing this whole lifetime called Laura from that higher place. Like, I would reassure Laura when she was having a hard time, or this is when I was younger, I would try to be loving and kind to Laura, or try to inspire her when she was feeling down. Now, as the inner critic of the ego became more and more intensified, then that took over. But getting on or moving in or being guided toward the non-dual path, I realized, like, oh my God, all that time I felt that I was being watched, actually we are. What I'm trying to say here is that your true nature, that you are, that pure, infinite, loving consciousness that you are, that has been asleep to itself because it's gotten overly identified with the body and the mind, with the thoughts and the sensations in the body and all the phenomena that appears in this dream. It's gotten overly identified and it's been asleep to who it is. But as it wakes up to itself, as pure being wakes up to itself, we become very aware that that is a loving, kind, non-judgmental, all-accepting consciousness. And so now I'm back to talking to myself the way I did when I was a little girl and allowing myself to experience whatever is arising without resisting it. I'm inviting you, as we talk about emotions in the flow state of awakening, to do the same. You can be your very own best friend when you're coming from the when you're in the when you're awake to the being that you are, and the being is doing what? Watching this whole play, this whole thing unfold, this whole drama of life. And it's watching this character that you have been identified with play the starring role in this play. It's just been watching. There hasn't been any judgment, anything. It's just been witnessing what's happening and having this experience through the eyes and hearing through the ears and feeling through the touch and smelling through and tasting. All the senses have been alive and being experienced, but no judgment. So no matter what you're feeling, from the out and outmost hatred or self-loathing to infinite joy and happiness, it's all part of the play that awareness is wanting to watch, to experience. Does that make sense? I hope it does. So when we're feeling our feelings during the awakening, since the unconscious is purging itself of what is not authentically you, then old repressed feelings are going to come up. Old traumas are going to come up. Shadow material is going to come up. And this is where you might need some support along the way, either in a group setting or a one-on-one therapeutic setting, or working with a spiritual teacher, a therapist that you trust. It's hard to work through this stuff by ourselves. So if you need that support, please find it. Somebody that you can afford, somebody that you really resonate with, that understands spirituality and psychology, can help you work through what's going on. Because the shadow material can be quite fiery at times, sometimes overwhelming. And then we could be looking at dark shadowy material or the golden halo shadowy material. Both are going to be showing up. And they will show up in nighttime dreams too. There's shadow material, shadow characters that show up in our nighttime dreams that will help you pinpoint what's trying to come up. And part of what will be trying to come up are any resentments that you may be holding on to. Now, that being said, and being an interfaith minister, I never advise people to force forgiveness, to pretend to forgive, to do any kind of spiritual bypassing. We don't want to be phony. This whole awakening process is about the opposite of phony. It's about pure authenticity and alignment and abidance in the truth of who we are. And so we're not here to try to pretend that we're no longer angry or hurt by what somebody did or didn't do. We're here to keep it real. But as the resentments come up, as old memories come up for you to witness, to see what needs to come up, what needs to be released and or integrated, then resentments are going to be in that package of what's arising. And so as you do the work through compassionate forgiveness over time, and it's a genuine process that you're going through, no shortcutting, it really feels like it's a letting go. There's a deeper understanding of what happened. There's more compassion around, the players involved, all of that. and it's very authentic, then this creates incredible lightness of being and great, great emotional freedom. In this forgiveness process, we're also talking about you forgiving you. And this is where a lot of the deeper work goes. Anything that you're judging yourself about from the past, again, pure being, not judging you, loving you, watching the dream character, watching the play character, watching the star do the best that it can with what it's gone through, with the conditioning it's experienced. That's how we want to approach this. From a very loving, supportive, understanding place. So we're not looking, this isn't about a path of perfectionism. I just wrote this recently and posted on my Instagram account. Non-perfectionism allows us to really embrace ourselves, to drop that criticism, and to really become our own best friend. Also, with the emotional flow state of awakening, that process also entails more self-love. The inner critic will begin to dissolve. It will. It will. As this stuff comes up again from the unconscious and there's this purging that's taking place, there's more and more letting go, more and more lightness of being. And if anger comes up, you just remember that anger is a pathway to happiness. On the other side of anger is happiness. On the other side of depression is joy. On the other side of anxiety is peace. These difficult emotions are actually a pathway to our true nature. See, so we don't want to place any judgment on anything that needs to come up. We want to hold that space for ourselves and for others to allow this stuff to come up as it needs to come up. Along with the emotional flow state will be also a change in habits as you awaken, preferences, the people that you want to spend time with, the kind of relationships that you really want to cultivate. I've said this before in other videos. We, post-awakening, we just are not interested in phony, superficial connection. We want it to be real and genuine. And with the increased amount of empathy that we feel and compassion toward all living things, it does deepen our connection. It definitely enriches it in a way, because the emotional flow state, really what we're talking about here is about the heart opening, expanding, and that will continue through the rest of your life. Is my experience with it so far anyway, post-awakening. That expanded state in the heart. We can't be fully awake without the heart being open. We can't just get it intellectually or conceptually. That's not awakening. There's a shift mentally. There is a shift emotionally. There's a huge shift in the heart. There's a shift in the body that takes place. It has to reorganize itself post-awakening. And there are significant spiritual shifts that I'll get into in a later video. Be happening fairly soon, but it might be the last of the 4-part series. But the heart must be open. If we're just intellectualizing consciousness and what we're made of and how the whole awakening works without the heart is the driving force of pure being. I hope this helps. If you have any comments about where you're at in your own awakening phase, aspect, or what you're going through emotionally or anything regarding awakening, please don't hesitate to comment. Namaste. Thank you.